Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Once again, welcome.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another All Recovery meeting here at Capital Recovery Center. My name is Michael. I'm one of your recovery coaches.
And I am Craig, also one of your recovery coaches. Hi, everybody.
Hello, and I'm Karen, also a Capital Recovery coach.
All right, what we got today? Today, we're going to keep going down this relapse prevention group handout. It's a HAZELDEN handout. It's a 16-week individualized program, and we have been going over for the last few weeks. Today, some of the things we will discuss will be illness, recognizing stress, and hopefully, prayerfully, we'll be able to cover relapse justification number 2. So again, thank y'all for tuning in. We will go through these things right here after we do our introduction.
All right, welcome to this All Recovery meeting. Again, my name is Karen. An All Recovery meeting welcomes all who struggle with addiction, are affected by addiction, and or support the recovery lifestyle. An All Recovery meeting is non-denominational, meaning all pathways of recovery are embraced here. Today, I will choose a universal recovery topic, and then we will discuss it. Specifically, an All Recovery meeting is not affiliated with any anonymous program, although we are likely to hear comments associated with 12 Steps fellowships. Coming from a place of mutual respect and understanding, let's observe some basic meeting agreements. Please respect the opinions and remarks of others. Please no cross-talking. Please turn your cell phones off. Please refrain from the overuse of profanity in order not to offend others. Are there any announcements?
Tune in every Tuesday at 10 a.m. for our coffee and conversation. We're always open to welcome everybody to be a part of that particular group.
All right, now let's have a moment of silence to remember why we are here. Thank you. So you may share on this topic or not, or on something else that relates to recovery. Please be mindful of the amount of people in the room and our time frame when sharing. All right,
Let's do it, she said. So the first topic we was going to discuss is dealing with illness. It says getting sick is a setup for relapse. How can that be? You might wonder. It's not my fault that I get sick. I don't have control over getting the flu or getting colds. How is it a setup? There are a number of ways that people can be less than healthy. Getting a cold, the flu, or some other infection, having serious dental work done, having surgery, experiencing severe PMS or premenstrual cramping. These situations and others like them make you weaker than normal. When you are physically weaker, you also have less mental energy. Fighting a substance abuse problem requires a good deal of mental energy, and that is so true.
Right. So there's a favorite saying people always used to say, I don't know if they still saying it, Mike and Karen, mind over matter, and not matter over mind. And that is, when you're healthy and you're strong, you tend to respond accordingly.
That's true.
And I remember I met this older gentleman at the time, and he was saying that, your mental state is reflecting of your environment. So if your environment is dirty, it's not healthy, then your mind is not healthy. And so always, exercise your mind, eat healthy, exercise. We've been going over that as well, some of the things that you can do to keep yourself prepared while you're in recovery or during your sobriety, things of that nature, so that when you do face a cold or go to the dentist, you are more well adapted or equipped to overcome a lot of stagnation in your recovery.
Yeah, because you need mental energy. When when you really are going through a sickness and everything, mentally you ain't focused on nothing but that particular sickness.
Yeah.
So dealing with illnesses is very important. That's why we always tell people to get checkups, or when the last time you had a checkup, because it's very important. When a person is sick, the last time I was actually sick of my mental strength, I tapped into my spiritual foundation. I was mentally weak and physically weak, but my spiritual foundation is never weak. So my mental strength was based on that. It says, what are some of the things that happen when you are ill and have less energy? Visits to the clinics are canceled. You be like, I'm not going to no meetings. AA meetings or any type of support meetings are missed. Exercise is impossible. Medication taking or even abusing can occur. So all these things are possible when you have less energy. You don't want to put in the effort to go to your meetings. You cancel. If you're scheduled to go work out, go to the gym, you cancel all that. All this stuff has to do with when you have less energy, and that comes from your mental energy, which is associated with when you're getting sick or when you get sick. Any type of illness you might have. Imagine all these things happening at once for a length of time, even if you were feeling strong. Wow.
Wow. Wow, that's a challenge.
All this happening at once would be very, very challenging. Oh, man. Yeah, that would be a challenging thing. As a result of the above, many people report that when they are ill, they say these things. It is difficult to cope with hours or days of free time now that everything has been canceled. The lack of structure is a trigger. Being in bed and not feeling well reminds them of after using time. That is so true. Being alone for long periods of time is a trigger. The one that I want to talk about out of these 4 bullets is the lack of structure is a trigger. When you come from a situation where you had a lot of structure, and then you come home from a program or somewhere where you had a lot of structure, if you don't develop some type of structure or have some type of accountability, it actually can be a trigger for you. Sometimes in my life, I didn't always have structure in my life, but when I did have structure, it helped me to maintain my sobriety. However, after I got out of these facilities that had structure, I had to build my own support network.
All right. I want to talk about the last one, Mike.
Okay.
Because being alone for long periods of time is a trigger. And I know I think we covered it before, but boredom for those who are in recovery or those who are working on their sobriety is a key trigger for anybody that's in recovery, because a lot of times we have all this time on our hands and we begin to think in our heads and try to replay what can I do today to make myself get involved. And so a lot of times, if you are alone by yourself, seek a sponsor, seek a recovery coach, talk to somebody, reach somebody, so that you don't take that time out and begin to digress, if I may, and go back into your stinking thinking. And stinking thinking is another therapeutic community terminology from a TC therapeutic TC Monster phrase. They call it stinking thinking. And so stinking thinking has been your distorted thoughts and manipulations, which lead to bad behaviors. All right.
Oh, yeah, like we were saying, longer period of being alone for long periods of time. My wife, if you talk to my wife and she remembers some of the things I used to always tell her when I did suffer a relapse, I would always say I was in my head alone too long. And when you're alone, and when you're alone for long periods of time, you start thinking, all types of weird things. So just remember those points that we pointed out. Then lastly, it says, in order to keep all the negative effects of illness from interfering with your recovery, it is important to allow yourself a little sick time as possible. If you push to restart recovery behaviors as soon as possible after an illness or difficult medical condition, you will feel stronger and your recovery will be stronger. And that means you basically, when you go through a sickness and you push yourself to get back as quick as possible, it actually can help you feel stronger and your recovery will become stronger.
Nice. All right.
What we got?
You want to read, Karen?
All right.
All right. It says recognizing stress. Stress is what a person experiences as a result of difficult or upsetting events, particularly those that continue for a period of time. Stress is the experience people have when the demands they make of themselves or those placed upon them are greater than what they feel they can handle. Sometimes we are unaware of this emotional state until the stress is producing physical symptoms.
Wow.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit.
Go ahead.
We was talking about, I believe earlier, Mike, you were bringing up the topic of self-care, and you was at a meeting. You was saying you was at a meeting and you brought up we was at a webinar and an individual, they was expressing themselves, but from their language it sounded like they was having a meltdown or a burnout.
Yeah.
Because in this field, even with recoveries or coaches or people in recovery, period, a lot of times we do have burnouts, stress from work, kids, going to meetings, whatever you may be into that maybe wear on you. So a lot of times self-care is very important. And what I mean by self-care is, all right, let's think about it. What are some of the things we can talk about as self-care?
Meditation,
exercising,
Reading.
reading a good book, a healthy book.
self-care, one of the things that, like we're discussing, all those things are things that we can do to help with our self-care. But the heading of this is recognizing stress.
Right.
So if you recognize that this situation is stressful, then it will automatically trigger you into self-care. It should automatically trigger you into thinking, okay, I need to do what I need for self-care. So there's a lot of different things that you can use to help in the area of your self-care. Recognizing stress is very important.
Are we gonna go down the list?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get into it.
Alright, so these are some of the physical symptoms that a person may experience once, the stress has become overwhelming. It says if a person has been experiencing sleep problems, difficulty falling asleep, waking up off and on during the night, having nightmares, waking up early and being unable to fall back to sleep, headaches, stomach problems, chronic illness, fatigue, moodiness, irritability, difficulty concentrating, general dissatisfaction with life, and feeling overwhelmed.
If you are experiencing any of these or even more than one of these things, I would seek out some not only professional help, but I would actually talk to someone and get some type of resource to help you. If you recognizing that you're in a stressful situation and you don't actually know what you need to do, I think you should reach out to someone that deals with not just stress, but any mental illnesses that you might be experiencing. Because all of these things can be so unhealthy to you if you having them in abundance. Sleep problems, chronic illness, moodiness, and then the other one, it says general dissatisfaction with life. If a person gets to that place where they have dissatisfaction with life, it's like a very depressing state where it's like it's no reason to live. Like everything in my life is stressed out, or I'm stressed out, things are wrong. So if you're feeling these things or experiencing any of these things, please reach out to someone that can help you in those areas. Don't try to take it all on your own. Find a recovery coach. You can contact us. We can connect you with some mental health services or some self-care practices that we can recommend you to. But please don't just sit there in your own head and go through this alone. You have help out there, trust me.
And don't try to do everything or figure everything out. Some things is just out of our control.
Absolutely.
Some things we can control, some things you just cannot control. And so, like Mike is saying, and like the article is explaining, we all have these problems, but seek someone, whether it be a close friend, a family member, someone that's going to guide you in the right, positive direction, whereas you could get your mojo back.
Get your mojo back.
Get your mojo back, all right? All right.
You see, actually what we just said is at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't actually say it, but I know for a fact if you're experiencing any stressful situation, please look for help. Our number here, 856-391-7449. Give us a call. We can try to connect you with some services that is help you in a stressful situation. All right, let's roll.
Man, we are rolling.
We doing good here.
We are rolling. So we did get to the last portion with
Relapse justification part 2.
And I'll take the pleasure of reading this.
All right.
And we can dip and dab in some of it while we're here.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe you want to take a commercial break? All right. Let's read a little bit.
Ah, man. Let's go, y'all.
All right. Once a person decides not to use drugs and alcohol anymore, how does he or she end up doing it again? Good question. Does it happen completely by accident, or is there some way of avoiding the relapse?
Good.
We were taught when we did a training C-card, if everyone remember, we got a 2-phase. Is it a slip
or relapse?
Or
full-blown
relapse?
Yeah, which one is it?
And so let's read into the article and see what they're talking about.
Let's go.
Relapse justification is a process that happens in people's minds. If a decision has been made to stop using and drinking, but the addiction still has strength, the games get tricky. The addicted part of the brain invents excuses that move the addicted person close enough to relapse situation that accidents can and do happen. Wow. You may remember times when you were planning to stay drug or alcohol free and such a situation happened before you used again. Use the questions below to help you identify justifications your addicted brain might use. You can then interrupt the relapse process.
Hey, up here, I'm going to go back a minute, Mr. Dangle. Up here, when he was reading and it said, I go back to this because we talked about this last time. It talks about where the addiction still has strength. That part right there is so powerful. It says when the addiction still has strength, the game gets tricky. Mm-hmm. Like it still has power. And I use the analogy of whichever one you feed the most. Mm-hmm. If in my life, I'm not perfect at any stretch of the imagination. However, I don't have any negative things in my life that dominates me. And the only reason it doesn't dominate me is because it doesn't have the strength. And that factors into whichever one you feed the most. If you're feeding yourself, recovery things, sobriety things, spirituality, and you're feeding that, and you're feeding that part, then that's what's going to have the most strength. If you're feeding yourself the negative, the drugs, and doing all these other things, that's the thing that's going to have the strength. And anytime the addiction still has strength, the game gets a little tricky. The game becomes very tricky.
Okay. I want to get off, I don't want to be too scripted, but I want to go back to this second or third sentence. It says the addicted part of the brain invents excuses that move the addicted person close enough to relapse. And I know for me, myself, when I relapsed, one time I told myself, I could just have one bag or one sniff, or I could just have one smoke, you know. And I found out and realized that you take one, you're going to take two.
Absolutely.
And so it begins to multiply, and then you're back to your old behavior. So anytime you feel that you think just because you've been in recovery for a year or two, or maybe 20 years or whatever, and you think, so, oh, I got it down pat, I can go ahead and, you know, be a casual user. That's not the case for those who have been addicted to alcohol or drugs.
Ain't nothing. And when he was saying about the brain, the addictive brain starts to invent excuses. It will come up with all type of excuses. Everybody, I mean, it starts saying like, yo, everybody smoke, everybody drink. You know, your brain will start talking to you. Everybody does this. Everybody does that. It's okay if you do this. You have to remember whichever one is the strongest is going to dominate you. So the brain, the addictive part of the brain will invent excuses to help you in the process of relapse. God,
right.
Wow.
That's right, because addiction is a disease. All right.
It will invent excuses. Let's go.
All right. Addiction is cured. All right. Let's see what it says. Does your addicted brain ever try to convince you that you can use just once?
We were just saying.
Just talk
I tell you, boy, we on.
It just, you know.
Again, we right at something that,
you know, it's not scripted. It's something that we actually
we
experienced.
lived it.
All right. It says, let me read that again.
Yeah, come on.
Let me read it one more
Pay
again.
attention, y'all.
One more again. I'm going to read
One
it
more
one more
again.
All right. I know that's not proper English.
For us it is.
But
But let's go.
say, does your addicted brain ever try to convince you that you can use just once or use just a little? I'm back in control now. Listen now. That's the first bullet says, you tell yourself, I'm back in control. I'll be able to stop when I want to. Ain't that something? Second bullet says, I've learned I only use small amounts and only once in a while. Trick. Those are traps, so be aware of those. Third bullet, this drug or alcohol was not my problem. Another one was. Mike got a nice story on that one.
So I can use this.
Yeah, so I can use this and not relapse, and others.
This is just all the things that your addictive brain will start to tell you. I can use this, that wasn't my problem, this is okay. I've learned I can only use small amounts. I'm back in control. I'm able to stop when I want to. No, you're not. That's your addictive brain trying to convince you to go down the process of a relapse. And this is called relapse justification. You got to understand that your addictive brain is missing something that you was feeding it for years. So your addictive brain is trying to convince you, hey, I need you to feed me what you was feeding me for 20 years. So when you get a couple years removed, don't just think that your brain is suddenly just going to say, oh, okay, you stop. That's not going to happen. It's going to try. The addictive part of your brain will keep trying to. I'm 13 years removed, and every so often something will pop up, and I'll be cracking up like, yeah, right. Like, because I'm so advanced past that situation, but it still pops up. My addictive part of my brain will shoot something at me, and I'll be like, I start laughing. But the smart thing that I do that I didn't used to do before is when I have those thoughts, I actually tell my wife, hey, you know what? I'm thinking this, that, and the third. And she say, I'm glad you talk. I tell on, if you ever have thoughts like that, tell on your own addictive brain, and he won't like it. The brain won't like that. Addictive part won't like it. So when I have those thoughts, I do not keep them to myself. I tell someone. So you have to do that too.
And be aware of a lot of cravings, urges, and triggers. If you learn to identify those things when they pop up, like Mike says, he laugh at them, and then he let someone know. And so if you also feeling like that, and you are able to identify those three components of recovery, of addiction, you're going to be all right.
Definitely, without a doubt. If you don't get anything from anything we said today, remember, when your addictive brain tries to tell you to go do something that you haven't done in years, make sure you have a conversation with someone and let them know, yo, I had this thought about doing this. It does not make you less of a woman or less of a man. It shows how strong you are that you're able to go to another man or another woman and tell them, yo, I thought about using today. Or I thought about this today, or I thought about that today. Don't just sit there and let the thoughts come in your mind. Again, I tell you, I have thoughts like that, and I have not used any drugs in 13 years. As soon as I get a thought like that, I tell my wife immediately, like, listen, this is what's going on. So remember, tell somebody.
All right. Last part, and it says testing yourself. All right. It's like the boomerang effect. You throw it out there, and it comes back to you. That's a test. That's a weapon you can use. All right. Let me stop yapping.
It's all right.
It's all right? All right. Would your brain like to prove you could be stronger than drugs or alcohol? These are testing yourself ideas or cues. Would your brain like to prove you could be stronger than drugs or alcohol? It's very easy to forget that being smart, not being strong, is the key to staying sober. Let me read that again. It's very easy to forget that being smart, not being strong, is the key to staying sober. Have you ever had any of the following thoughts? Number 1, I'm strong enough to be around drugs and alcohol now. Number 2, I want to see if I can say no to drinking and using. Number 3, I want to see if I can be around my old friend. Number 4, I want to see how Met feels now that I've stopped, and others. Wow. You want to test the waters? Listen, don't test the waters.
Be smart, not be strong. Remember, being smart, not being strong. We talked about that before. Don't try to prove to your addiction that you can experiment with it and not go to the deep end with it. You have to be smart, not strong. This is not about being strong. It's about being very, very smart. We have a message. Mr. Brandon, he says, I'm still addicted to cigarettes, marijuana, and alcohol. I have overcome meth, porn, and morphine. I've struggled trying to repent. So if you overcame those same things that you overcame, the same strategy you use is powerful enough to use to overcome those things. But it's good that you acknowledge that you have overcome some other things and now you struggling in some areas. That's not a bad place to be, because now you have landmarks. You see that I came out of this and I came out of that. And I got to tell you, I did the same thing. I didn't stop everything all at once. I had to take things periodically that led to something major. I call them minor adjustments, but it led to something major. And you can do the same thing as well. And after this recording, I'm going to give you some information, some videos, and some material that you can use to help with your other struggles that you have right now.
And also, Brandon, I want to commend you. I salute. I honor what you have said, and because, we like to build on your strength as well. Because just because you may be struggling in one area, take it one day at a time. Believe me. If you can do the rest and recover from those other things, man,
yes,
you definitely can recover from the other things. So don't give up.
And we are thankful. He commented, y'all. He said, I'm very thankful for you guys. We are thankful for you. Trust me. You are one of the reasons, or the reasons that why we do all what we do, no matter if we helping one person or 100. And everything that we have after this is over, I'm going to connect with you and get all your information, and we'll be able to help assist you in any area that you're dealing with right now. That's what we do.
All right. Is there anything else?
What's this? Let's read this last page.
So we got the last page?
1:30.
Okay, let's read this.
Celebrating. Oh, here comes the good part. All right. Celebrating. Both the addicted brain and other people may encourage you to fall for the following. Wow. Number 1, I'm feeling really good Using once won't hurt. Okay. Number 2, I'm doing so well, things are going great. I owe myself a reward. Number 3, this is such a special event that I want to celebrate.
Man.
You know, a lot of times when we're in recovery, we may find ourselves get a job. And here comes Friday, which is tomorrow, right? And so we get a paycheck, and we see all this money. Oh, I worked so hard, all these hours, been standing on my feet, my back. Oh, let me go treat myself to a cold one. If you're having a problem with alcohol, don't do it.
That's right.
Or you might say, oh, let me just go find me a bag or whatever. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
All right?
So again, thank everybody for tuning in. We have meetings on 10 o'clock Tuesday morning, Thursday at 1 p.m. Everybody, if you would like the material that we are teaching from, if you just comment in the bottom of the comment section or contact us, I can provide this to you. It's free. It came from HAZELDEN. Also, if you need any help in any other area, just let us know. And again, my name's Michael. I'm one of the recovery coaches here at Capital Recovery Center.
And I am Craig, also one of the recovery coaches here at Capital Recovery Center.
And I'm Karen. Thank you guys for joining and commenting.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
see y'all Tuesday,
Tuesday morning,
10 a.m.
coffee and conversation.
Thank you.